Hey there, cats and kittens. Welcome to Crossover Attack, episode 18, the Big Baldur's Gate Spectacular. I'm Eric Freshley from Freshly Streamed Games, joined by Hunter Davenport here.
How's it going?
It's going wonderful. I'm going to try to talk quiet if you haven't noticed, and not wear my voice out like 20 minutes in the episode like I always do. We got a lot today, mostly Baldur's Gate. We're going to be talking a lot of Baldur's Gate. As a matter of fact, hell, let's just jump into Baldur's Gate. I guess how we're going to do this is first we're going to kind of talk about the news surrounding Baldur's Gate and what it means and just kind of how it's going to affect the rest of the industry and everything like that. And then we'll kind of go into our thoughts on the game itself, because you've been playing it a lot. I just started last night, so I'm barely into it at all. But we both got I've been watching a whole shit ton. I've been watching a bunch of streamers and stuff before I got to play it, which we'll get into all that. So this thing's success has been fucking insane, right? Like, there's no other way to describe it. It's among the top 10 highest concurrent player accounts in Steam's history. Not top 10 right now, in the history of Steam.
It's also pretty crazy that this is happening for a PC-only game that's only PC-only at the moment, but, like...
Yes.
It doesn't usually happen for PC games like this.
And one that should be, on paper, it feels like it should be a niche game. Like,
yeah.
Divinity Original Sin was successful, and Pillars of Eternity was successful, and Wasteland was successful, but they were not, like, blockbusters. They were not the talk of the industry. Like, this is almost Elden Ring levels. It's crazy. And actually, Elden Ring is kind of another game that, like, shouldn't have been you wouldn't have thought was going to be as big as it was. Like,
yeah,
it's hard to pinpoint exactly what makes a kind of hardcore gamers game blow up into beyond that. This is not just the gamers playing this. This is expanded way past that. It's it's gone viral.
Yep. People like my direct friend group who don't really, they play games but not nearly as much as I do.
Yeah.
They're like playing this game and talking about it. I'm like, this is like the biggest thing ever.
It absolutely feels that way. And Zelda felt similar, both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom and Elden Ring. And it makes me think that, like, hey, kind of giving the player agency, just giving them freedom, honestly, is the simplest way to do it. The simplest way to describe it. Like, they're not necessarily telling you a story, you're participating in the story in all those games. It's not, like, in Baldur's Gate, we're talking about more of a narrative, but even something like Zelda and Elden Ring, I'm not necessarily talking about the overall plot, but more just like a story of, hey, I just went east and found some weird shit. And Baldur's Gate, you can do that too, but also you can just have such an effect on the plot and the narrative. And the differences seem to be, like, in my playthrough versus your playthrough versus another guy's playthrough, all seem to be pretty goddamn crazy. It's like the promise of Mass Effect finally fulfilled in some ways.
It's a BioWare game.
Yeah.
It is. It's straight up a BioWare game.
Yeah, but I would say even taken to, furthermore, they're pushing it more.
The most extreme.
Absolutely.
Like, I saw people call this, like, the evolution of Dragon Age Inquisition, and I'm like, I kind of see it.
Yeah, I don't have a ton of Dragon Age experience, but I play Mass Effect to death. Mass Effect's my favorite series of all time.
I love Mass Effect. I'm sitting in front of a giant N7 flag right now, and I'm like, this is a BioWare game through and through. Like,
I don't know where I can post it so everyone can see it, but I got a wall in my living room that's got this guy does these watercolors of all the Mass Effect characters, like in Japanese style. It looks really cool, and I got them all hanging up on my living room over my couch. Its Metacritic has topped Tears of the Kingdom for the highest of the year so far, 97.
Jeez.
I know.
Oh my god.
I know. It's crazy. So one thing I wanted to ask you about is, what kind of a role does early access play in this? Like, could this is that a big reason why this is soared where other similar games have not so much?
I don't know. I can't tell you, honestly.
Yeah.
Part of me thinks it's the... First of all, I think a lot of it is the D&D appeal. I think that does appeal to people. This is the most, like... This is the direct translation of tabletop RPG to a video game ever.
Yes, and D&D right now is more popular than it's ever been.
Yeah.
Stuff like Critical Role is a big factor in that.
That helps. The early access, I think it helped them for sure. But the game I'm playing now is way different than the game I played in early access.
Yeah, but like, don't they get to that point because of the feedback they got from early access? I think. Yeah. I would assume.
In theory, yeah. I mean, I was looking at a game today, Project Zomboid. That's been in early access since 2013. It's still in early access, and it's not out yet, technically. I don't know. I'm not a developer. I don't know what goes on.
Yeah, we're just guessing, but
yeah,
I think there's definitely some logical assumptions that could be made there.
If I had to guess, it absolutely helped.
Yeah,
straight up. Like I think.
Go ahead.
And like my person sitting in front of a computer playing this game like 4 hours a day, there's definitely some polish they put in this because it was in early access.
I would like to see more big publishers not be afraid to do it. Obviously we've seen, not that early access is a new concept, but we don't see it out of big games very often. AAA publishers and seem to be afraid to do it. Maybe not even afraid, but they just, I guess maybe don't think it's necessary. And sometimes it's not. I'm not saying every game should, but I think back to now both Sea of Thieves and No Man's Skies have recovered now, but hey, when those games launched, if they just tagged them as early access, how much different would their reputation have been? Because essentially they were. Like, those games were not fully finished, and they needed the community feedback to get to where they eventually got to, and now they're both big successes. But it probably would have been a lot cleaner for them, and they could have avoided a lot of early strife if they had tagged that. It worked out well for Grounded too, which is not a big team, but it was a big publisher.
And that game's really good too, and I imagine that early access definitely helped there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this goes on the Mount Rushmore of, along with Hades and maybe was Dead Cells early access?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I do remember a lot of people playing that, and I just have no interest. Yeah. But like it's one of those things where like,
you don't like Dead Cells?
I see. Okay, I play Metroidvanias if they're called Metroid or Castlevania. That's usually how it goes for me.
Oh man. Well, we're gonna talk about Dead Cells another time, I guess, because I need to try to get
nothing. I have nothing against Dead Cells. Okay. Let me be clear before anyone attacks me. It's just not. Metroidvanias are not usually my thing unless it's like a very specific, like flavor of Metroidvania.
But yeah, what I was driving is I think this goes in like the Hall of Fame of early access done right. This is like the model that people should be looking at.
For sure. Absolutely.
You had mentioned D&D. Does the rest of the industry now go to tabletop games? So are they looking at Shadowrun? Are they looking at like?
I kind of hope so.
Me too. I mean, and it's been done. Like, right, the Harebrained Schemes did that Shadowrun Returns trilogy, and they did BattleTech as well, but they were not AAA, right? And they're awesome games. I'm not trashing them. I need to actually. I've been thinking about playing those Shadowrun games recently, but they weren't like this. They weren't even close. But could that happen now? Of course, Shadowrun and BattleTech specifically, the gaming license, the video game licenses are owned by Microsoft. They license them out to Harebrained Schemes for those. There's also, Vampire the Masquerade is a tabletop game. There's plenty. Yeah. Gloomhaven is coming. Well, that is already out on PC, and it's coming to consoles like later this month. Is this something that happens now?
I kind of hope so, because we had Cyberpunk, and I like Cyberpunk. Like, it had a rough launch, but I like that game, and I would love to see more tabletop RPGs,
Yeah. And I guess I'm asking specifically as doing them as CRPGs, because I don't know, maybe it's just me, but that feels like
it's the easiest way to do them.
Yeah, it's the easiest way, and it just feels more like, all right, when I play Cyberpunk, I don't feel like I'm playing a board game at all. When I play Baldur's Gate, I sort of am. Like, obviously it's not exactly the same thing, but it just, I don't know, maybe it's just all about the camera perspective, but it just kind of feels like moving pieces around a board to me.
I think there's something there. I think they definitely should try. Like, Games Workshop should maybe make a Warhammer CRPG. I think they're pretty cool.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
So, like, maybe there is something to this. I don't know. I'm hoping that we just see more tabletop rule sets in general, because I feel like they're such a good way to make video games, because it's a great rule set and it's fairly like straightforward. I think people can kind of understand it very well.
And what I love about it is, and you know, we've talked a million times about how my preference to co-op games, but you know, I like RPGs that you can play with other people, because I can't predict. You know, I can go into it saying, all right, this is the kind of character I want to make. This is the choice. I'm going to be a good guy in this run, and I can kind of plan everything out, but I can't predict what my friends are going to do. And that kind of always makes for the most interesting moments. Like, we the whole RPG genre obviously came from tabletop, which, you know, you don't play those solo. So I think it works well that way. It's a pain in the ass for devs, I'm sure, because like, you know, it's just introduces so many variables. But that's what I enjoy about Baldur's Gate. I liked that about Wasteland 3 a lot. Now, I have not been able to play Baldur's Gate in co-op, which is why I only started last night. To kind of make a long story short, I wanted to do my stream as a 4-player run through of Baldur's Gate, but all my friends are on Xbox. It's not out on Xbox yet, so I thought, okay, I'll just wait till it's out on Xbox. That's when I'll play it. And then buzz for this game got so crazy, I couldn't wait anymore. So now I'm playing it solo, and then when it comes to Xbox, I'll do a co-op run as well. Anyway, that's a side tangent, though. Let's talk about the sex, because I personally believe that one of the big reasons, there's more than one reason, but one of the big reasons this has reached outside of just the gaming sphere, the reason this has gone viral on Twitter and TikTok and stuff, is because of all the kinky sex stuff. You know, we laugh at it because it is funny. The bear thing is hilarious. And the bear thing is just the tip of the iceberg in this game.
The bear thing is the least horny thing that's in this game, for sure. But
I think that's a big reason why it's getting attention from casual audiences. Am I wrong?
I could see that. I mean, the whole Overwatch thing of Overwatch porn made Overwatch popular.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It could be a thing. I think the thing with the horny on the internet is you can't stop it. You can only hope to contain it. So
they're not even trying to contain it this time. They're letting that shit run wild.
I'm very concerned for the people in the offices of Larian.
Yeah. You know, you think about the there was a story back around MK11 where like some of the developers were like, "Oh, we have to watch a lot of graphic violence." Making our game, and it's kind of affecting us. In this case, like, probably had to watch a bunch of crazy sex stuff.
Yeah, someone probably had a sexual awakening making this game.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
It's the kink community's real big. You know, but that's another factor though, or another thing though, like, are other games, is this something that other games are gonna think, hey, we need to put weird sex stuff in all our games now?
I think they should. Let's just do this. I think we should go for it.
You know, it's handled well in Baldur's Gate, but it could be handled very badly too.
It could.
Like,
Randy Pitchford could get the very loud idea.
I was just gonna say, we know Borderlands 4 is in development. So.
Yeah.
Oh boy, that's concerning. And finally, this localization thing. We were talking about this briefly before the show. It's a strange thing, but apparently a lot of localizers were left out of the credits in this game. But apparently that wasn't Larian's doing, it sounds like. However, now that Larian has heard about it, they got kind of pissed on behalf of those localizers, and they're going to add them, you know, as soon as possible. It's weird to me that, like, I don't know, like, Larian's now mad about it, and my first thought would be, well, weren't you guys responsible in the first place? But apparently it sounds like, no, they weren't.
It sounds like they were handed an incomplete list of people. That's what sounds to me.
Yeah, that makes the most sense to me now. Kind of, it's a strange thing, but good on Larian for doing this. They really seem like they're doing everything right over there. And actually, as a matter of fact, there was another. I forgot to write this down, but there was another. And one of the CEO kind of did an interview saying, "Hey, we want to stay independent. We're not looking to get bought right now," which, you know, I think is the right move right now. This is their, like, fucking boom. This is where they are stepping up to being they've always been respected, but now they are a big, big, big deal.
Yep.
The time to sell, if at all, is probably like 10 years from now, I would imagine.
Yep.
Get a couple more games out like of this size. But I will say, if somebody somehow managed to grab them today, boy, that would be a boon for whoever that is.
Yeah. I hope it kind of doesn't happen.
Me too.
I'm a little fatigued by the acquisitions, I'm not going to lie. I think it's trying to slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
But
I'm not necessarily fatigued by acquisitions in general, but for Larian, like I said, I think 10 years from now is the time to do it. This is like them just on the rise.
Cash out. Make $1 billion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Party on the yachts for the rest of your life. I'd do it.
And what I would like to see, all right, so, and I was meant to say it earlier when we were talking about other tabletop games. I want to see, I'm not a big high fantasy guy, medieval fantasy guy. I'm loving this game, but that's, I would love it if it were in a more sci-fi setting or like a Vampire the Masquerade setting or something like that. And the big one that I keep coming back to is Shadowrun. I would love to see a Shadowrun game just like this. And I think, Larian, that's over at Xbox. Xbox doesn't need to buy Larian to make that happen. They could just do a partnership. Or Obsidian could do it as well. Of course, Obsidian's busy as hell right now.
Yeah.
Personally, I'd rather they do a Shadowrun game in this style than another Outer Worlds. And I like the Outer Worlds just fine, but not that much.
I'd like to see a Shadowrun game in the style of like an immersive sim. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that could work too. Man, if they could somehow wrestle the Nemesis system away, and you could do like a Shadow of War style game in Shadowrun, that'd be fun.
Shadowrun rules.
It's funny. I played that the shooter a little bit a couple weeks ago, and that's kind of all I've actually played of Shadowrun. But just the universe is such a cool idea to me, of it being a cyberpunk setting where all of a sudden magic appears again. That is so interesting to me.
Yeah.
So I should be playing more Shadowrun games. I guess what I'm getting at. All right. Well, let's kind of get into our. Well, we've both been playing it. So what are our experiences? What are our review or whatever? I've only played a little bit, just like 8 hours. I did. Okay. Well, no, I'm sorry, like 6 hours. I did a stream of it this morning. I'm going to play more as soon as we're done here. But that's kind of you've been way in more. First, tell me about your character. What class? What race? What are you doing?
I am a tiefling warlock.
Right okay.
Now. I was doing Dark Urge, but I learned that there's some stuff later on in the story that I don't want to do it right now, so I just kind of didn't do it. Yeah. I undid my character. But yeah, Warlock is great. Eldritch Blast for life. But yeah, this is... Okay. I think this, my opinion, is going to ruffle some feathers.
Oh no.
For this game.
Oh no.
This is honestly one of the best CRPGs of all time. Like, I'm 30 hours in. I'm struggling to find complaints in this game.
Well, let me ask you, I guess, because I guess I'm trying to define what a CRPG is. So what would you say is the number 2? Or what was number 1 before this?
Baldur's Gate 2 was the
wow,
one,
all right.
in my opinion.
So are we not counting XCOM as a CRPG? Not really. Like that's.
Oh, that's a tactical RPG in my opinion. Or it's barely even a RPG.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's just right now, like everything is partially RPG. It's so nebulous and tough to define. Like
CRPG to me is top down with kind of light strategy elements.
Yeah.
And a lot of reading.
Yeah.
That's to me what a CRPG is.
Okay. So I guess what I'm getting at is I think I agree with you. I mean, I guess I probably don't have as much experience with you in the genre, but I think I agree. This is the best one I've played, and I'm, like I said, not very far in. But go ahead.
I'm struggling to find things that I dislike about this game. Yeah. There's very few things. I guess the autosave system isn't as frequent as I would like.
I got fucked on that. Real bad. I don't know if you got to see me at all, but I was so pissed. I early on when you run across on the beach, when you run across that dying mind flayer, I fucking let him kill me, which was stupid.
Oh, yep. I did the same thing. In my early access too. I did the same.
And then I got sent back to like right when I crashed. I was so mad.
But man, this is an 11 on 10. Like I this broke the scale. It is so good. It's hard to like define how good it is.
Well, I can just define it real quick right here to say it's insane that Tears of the Kingdom might not be the best game of the year. Like
this is bar none the best game I played all year.
Yeah,
straight up.
Tears of the Kingdom's a fucking masterpiece, and this is maybe better.
It's really fucking good.
I'm not ready to say that it's better, but it's close.
I'm ready to say it's better. It's better. It's way better, in my opinion. But that's just me.
Yeah.
But man, just there are things that you can do in this game that are Tears of the Kingdom light, I'll call them.
Yeah.
I was listening to Castle Super Beast, and Pat was detailing how he, like, in the first act, there's a mission where you have to go to the Goblin Fortress to rescue a druid, right?
Right.
So
I think I'm coming up to that. I might do that tonight.
So what Pat did was he went to the Goblin Fortress, acted like he was going to side with them, and like told them, okay, meet here. So he figures out the approximate location of where all of these people are going to be, and then goes and finds almost like, I guess, like 30 explosive barrels and stuff like that, as many explosives as he can find, and lays it out. And he was able to beat the entire army with one fireball by blowing them to hell.
I've seen some videos of people. You kind of have to take out if you don't pretend to side with the goblins. Like if you're just kind of you just have to take out like 3 leaders of them.
Yes.
I've seen some people treat that like a Hitman thing, where like they try to, instead of just like get into battle with those 3 leaders, they like will maneuver them to be on a bridge or whatever, and then knock down the bridge, and then like.
Yep.
It's like, hey, good work, 47. Yeah, man, it's the freedom of this game. It feels like, again, you know, Elden Ring, Zelda, it feels like games are just giving us so many options to really do what we want these, and not every game, but like the biggest ones, the ones that are finding the most success, it feels like, are just giving us so much freedom.
So to go for that, when I did the Goblin mission, I just took them all out. One of them, the priestess, can get killed in the cutscene, so that was super easy. But the big drow guy, what I did was I used Asterion. I used him as bait, and I lured him up to the pit above the spider pit, and then I Eldritch Blast him into the spider pit. And It's like, you can do so much crazy shit in that game. It is pretty great.
Nice. So my character, I wanted to do, and I'm going, like I said, I'm going to do another playthrough in co-op, and I really wanted to do a Dragonborn Bard, just because the idea of a big dragon dude playing a lute is funny to me. But I'm saving that for my co-op run. And in this run, I'm playing a dwarf monk.
Okay.
Because also, that's a funny idea to me, too, is the little dude running around doing martial arts. And it's been real cool so far. I just, like, got to level 3 where I can unlock a subclass, and now I'm basically, like, fucking the Avatar, because I'm getting all the... I picked a subclass that lets me control elements.
It's so good. This game is fantastic, and if it does... And I say this as someone who's going to put, like, 300 hours into Starfield, more than likely... This is the game of the year, like straight up. I'm calling it now. It's over for everyone.
It definitely, if we're talking especially about the Keeleys, like 2 months ago, I would not have thought I got a nomination just because this year's so fucking loaded. Now it's 100% getting a nomination and has a very good chance of winning. I still think it's going to be a tough battle with Zelda. I really do, but
I'm sure it will be. I think that fanboyism will play a part. Some way, not for Keeley, but like for people in general. Like people will be like arguing for like Spider-Man or something else over this.
But a lot of because this game's not going to be on Xbox till next year. A lot of PlayStation people have been fanboying for it too.
That's true. So we don't know.
You know, one thing I've been really impressed with. This game has a lot of dialogue for sure.
Yep.
And I get what's the word? I just get fucking bored these days by that in most games, right? But in this, It has a ton of dialogue, but it's snappy. Like, it's not a bunch of people saying, hey, my village is in trouble. Let me tell you about the history of our village. 300 years ago, we were founded by gnomes, and then we had a civil war, and blah, 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 blah. It's just more like, hey, my village is in trouble. Come save it, and then I'll fuck your brains out, and that's it. And let's get to it. Like, people, it's people getting to the point mostly and telling you what you need to know. And even though, yeah, there's a lot of talking, it's not flowery language. It's like...
And if you do want that stuff, it's in the game.
Sure.
You can find it or talk to them about it.
Yeah, I've been picking up a ton of books. I'm not reading them, but I'm picking them up and just like throwing them over to my camp inventory. So yeah, that stuff is there, but seems that the spoken dialogue is it has not been making my eyes roll back like it does in a lot of games. I'm very impressed by that.
It's so good. All of it. It's very well written. Story is crazy good. Shadowheart is the best. I love her so much.
I'm gonna try to romance her. I mean, I don't know. Is there any penalty in this game to romancing everybody? Probably not.
I'm not sure. I've been very careful though,
yeah.
not to upset her because she will murder me. I feel like.
God, I feel like there was some other big point that I wanted to hit and I can't remember it. But it's an overwhelming game. It's something I'm probably going to be playing for a long time. So as you know, my PC's over there. So if I were going to stream it from there, I'd have to move my camera and microphone and everything. So, would be a pain in the ass. So I'm running it, streaming it I'm playing it on my PC, obviously. And, that's going into my OBS, but then I got it run into my Steam Link so that I can play on my TV in front of me here. And then I first tried to run my Steam Link into my Elgato and my OBS, and then eventually I just bypassed that. But still got run on my Steam Link, and I had to use a wired controller because first I was doing wireless, and there was a weird lag. I don't know if it's a Steam Link thing or whatever. My Steam Link's old as dirt right now, but so I got wires everywhere just for this game. Is kind of the point I'm getting to. It's stupid and weird, and but whatever. It's worth it. I'm
having a similar issue where I'm literally sitting next to a bunch of a new PC parts because I'm gonna build a new PC in the next couple months.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all I can think about when I'm playing this is this is gonna look so good on the new rig. Man, this is a great fucking game. I can't get over how well done this is.
It's very, very cool. Yeah. I like I said, I feel like there's I feel like we're just scratching the surface, even though we've talked about it now for, I don't have a timer in front of me, but probably a long time. And I'm sure we'll continue to talk about it because we talk about the games we're playing all the time, and I think we're both going to be playing this for a long time. Although Starfield's coming soon, so.
Yep.
But, yeah. It's driving me crazy now because, yeah, I feel like there is something I wanted to mention that I can't remember now. But anyway, I guess are we ready to move on?
I'm ready to move on.
All right. I beat Remnant 2.
Hell yeah.
Boy, that last boss fucking sucks. It sucks. I guess it doesn't suck, but it's just hard as balls.
I saw some footage of it, and it looks like you're literally just fighting this guy. Like that.
Yeah, I cannot. Especially the second stage of it. There's two stages which I did, I couldn't get past the first stage for my first couple runs on it. So that was a surprise and not a welcome one. And that second stage, there's just so much bullshit going on the screen. It feels like fighting an old SNK boss in King of Fighters.
It feels like some EDF bullshit, and I kind of love it, to be honest with you.
I don't know how to dodge anything. Eventually, you kind of figure out that you have to listen for audio cues more than watch. It's purposely distracting the visuals, and it's purposely, not very helpful. But you eventually figure out, I need to be listening for the attacks, not so much looking at them. But even after that, it was still a huge pain in the ass, and I hated it. But I'm glad to be done. I'll tell you something that sucks is that they're having, I guess, some kind of issue with their patches on Xbox specifically. Ooh. And so they have 2 huge patches out on PC that changes for the better a lot of quality of life about that game. And they were delayed a little bit on PlayStation, just for certification, right? Because they have to submit and get them certified. They came 2 days later on PlayStation. Neither one are still out on Xbox. They're hoping to get them this week, and they're both going to come at the same time, luckily. But that's kind of made me not feel like playing very much. even though, you know, I'm done with the game. Like, there's still, all right, I finished the game, but there's still a lot more I could be doing and want to do, but I'm just kind of frustrated by the patch thing. But even so, I love that game to death, and once they kind of figure out this patch thing, even without that, I would recommend it to anybody. I can't believe it's a $50 game. That's fucking nuts to me. It's fantastic. And, like, I know it's tough this year to make time for anything. Like, I haven't even played Pikmin 4 since the day it came out, and I loved Pikmin 4, but it's just there's so much to play right now. It's a packed year.
It's pretty crazy. And there's a new Armored Core game coming out, like, next week or some shit.
Yeah, there sure is. And, you know, Giga Bash just came to Switch and Xbox, and I really wanted to play that. It's been out on PC and PlayStation for a year, but... man. Just nuts. Anything else you played? Just all Baldur's Gate?
I've literally just been no-lifing Baldur's Gate, dude.
That's
all I've been playing.
I think probably next episode, I'm probably just going to be talking about Baldur's Gate. Because that's probably all I'm playing for the next 2 weeks. Well, let's dive into news then. We got quite a lot, and I guess we just did kind of... Baldur's Gate had a lot of news around it, but let's jump into more. These two stories I'm going to tie together a little bit. Square took a big hit. They did a financial call, and they reported that Final Fantasy XVI... The way they phrased it is said they didn't meet the high end of expectations. It met expectations, but not... Like, they gave it a range, and it didn't hit the high end of that range. And then their stock fucking plummeted off a cliff. In Japan, anyway. And Sony had cut the price of the PS5 in the UK. Their sales of that jumped 75%, and they still said that's not enough. And they still said we're disappointed at how sales have gone on the PS5 in the UK after the sale. All right, and Final Fantasy 16 did $3 million in a week. Like, fucking, what is going on with expectations? Is this industry just fucking broken completely?
I think a lot of it is, I'm trying to figure out a way to put this nicely. I've been listening to, I'm gonna, like, coach this into, like, a theory I have about film and video game in general, especially, like, the people who are at the very top level. Mm-hmm. I've been listening to this podcast. It's called Best Movies Never Made. And there was an episode in particular where they were talking about Tobe Hooper's White Zombie movie they never made. It sounds amazing. Like, they described in detail what it is.
Like White Zombie really cool. The band?
White Zombie White Zombie the band is named after a movie called White Zombie.
Did I know that?
That's in the public domain.
Okay.
And that movie's very good if you're into that kind of stuff. But so they talk about what went wrong, and there was a producers meeting where everyone in the producers, they're not creative people, like they're money people. But sure. They changed this movie from the ground up because it just wasn't working for them. And it kind of led me to believe that this movie collapsed, despite having this amazing sounding script, that everybody who's in charge of the money are the most creatively bankrupt people on the planet, and they just don't understand. They're never going to understand.
Yeah.
Everyone who is on the money side of things for these kind of things, they don't understand what they sell. And that's the issue, really, when it gets down to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think you're wrong at all. And obviously, money's important to this stuff. You can't do it without money people. Yeah, but
they're important.
But goddamn, some of them been just delusional about this stuff. Hey,
it's games are expensive, and they just don't understand why they don't sell gangbusters immediately.
And but the thing is, $3 million in a week is gangbusters to me.
It is. Yeah, it's on one console. Like, that's crazy. Like,
Final Fantasy. All right, there's Final Fantasy 14. Set that aside for a moment. Let's just talk about the single player ones. Like, it's still a big franchise, but I think it's past its peak, right? They have to know that it's not fucking
it's
2005
not Call of Duty
anymore. Yes.
It's not Call of Duty. It's not GTA 5.
It's not Spider-Man. Yeah. And, like, how do they not know that?
like JRPGs in general are played by, like, a small group of people. Like, it's not... $3 million for a brand new JRPG is insane to me. Like in any context.
Absolutely. They should be fucking dancing on tables over there, and they're not because they... Like, and this is an ongoing problem with Square, right? Like, normally it's been their Western games. Hitman, Guardians of the Galaxy, Outriders, but now it's, I guess, since they have no more Western studios, like, all right, well, let's start. We gotta blame somebody else now, so we're going after Final Fantasy. Man, Square just feels so directionless. Like, I truly do think they thought they were going to be sold by now.
Yeah, they thought they were going to be Sony or Xbox. I really think they did.
Yeah, and now that it didn't happen, like they seem like they're just kind of rudderless. They did just get a new CEO. They are making deals. They made a deal with Xbox for Final Fantasy 14. It sounds like other games.
Which is nuts, by the way. That is insane that happened.
Which part?
At all.
The Final Fantasy 14 thing?
Yeah, that is coming to Xbox. I never in 1,000 years ever thought that would happen.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about that last episode. It was absolutely nuts. I'm going to finally try the game. But, yeah, man, Square's... I don't know. Don't know what their future is. Quake 2 Remastered was real, and it came out. It's available right now on Game Pass as well as everywhere. This is one of those Bethesda games that... when Xbox says, hey, we're still going to put some Bethesda games out on PlayStation, well, this is one of them. It's also out on Switch. This is the kind of thing, by the way, like, if they do a Quake 5, there's no way that will come, but kind of remasters of old games, this is exactly what they were talking about when they say, like, case-by-case basis and things like that. It features a new campaign from Machine Games called Call the Machine, which is the same, they did it for Quake 1 as well. Quake 2 64 is on there. It has motion aiming on PlayStation and Switch, I think.
So, question.
Yes.
Is this Night Dive? Night Dive do this?
Yes. Night Dive did that, except that new campaign was Machine Games.
That's fine with me. Those are two names of that. That's what I want to associate with Quake.
Yeah. So we've known just through LinkedIn posts and stuff for a while that Machine Games was working on a shooter project as well as Indiana Jones. It was probably just this, even though, I'm hoping they've been doing Wolfenstein, but probably not.
It's gonna be a while.
Man, that sucks. I'd trade Indiana Jones for Wolfenstein personally.
I love Indiana Jones too much to do that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I guess that's about it. Are you going to play Quake? I think you said you were, right?
Yeah, I'm going to try it. I've never played Quake 2, so I'm pretty excited. Really excited to try that out.
My only Quake experience was Quake 1 Remastered. I did a co-op. I was going to say stream, but I don't think I streamed that. I just played it with a couple of guys from our Fantasy Critic League. That ended up being kind of not the right way to play that game because the problem was they all knew the game like back of their hand and I didn't, so like I was lost as fuck while they were just kind of running around, and every once in a while on my screen said, hey, you grabbed this key and shit. I'm like, I didn't do shit. These other guys are on the other side of the map already finishing this game, and I'm like, guys, how do I find you? But whatever. Quake 2 is a very different thing. Like Quake 1 is a kind of gothic setting, and Quake 2 is more sci-fi. You're fighting aliens and shit, so which I know at the time was controversial. But hey, Xbox has started selling Elite controller parts, so you can repair your controllers and replace parts of your controllers.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Especially like the shoulder buttons can wear on those. I had my first Elite controller. I lost a shoulder button. I don't have it anymore, but it would have been nice to just buy that and repair it. I think this might be only. Let me pull up the story and make sure. But I think it might be only in the U.S. right now. But I'm sure it'll come everywhere else.
Interesting.
Oh, and they have videos that tell you how to repair your stuff too. That's nice. I didn't see that at all. Yeah, that's real cool. Hopefully that continues, and hopefully Sony follows suit. Let's talk about the Sakurai video. This has been about a week and a half now. Sakurai he's got his own YouTube channel. It's very interesting shit. But this one was all about Smash Brothers, past and future. And there was a couple interesting parts about it to discuss. First, one big headline out of it was that Smash Brothers Brawl, which was the Wii game, Nintendo Iwata had announced that out at E3 without telling, like, Sakurai hadn't even agreed to work on the game yet. And they're just like, hey, we're making this. Sakurai's like, fucking the hell I am. What are you talking about?
Okay.
Yeah. And he, like, one thing you gotta remember is Sakurai is not a Nintendo employee. He's a freelancer.
He's technically a contractor.
Yeah. And so he was kind of not real pleased about that. And Iwata, then he talked to Iwata and said, like, hey, what if I don't do it? He's like, well, we'll get somebody else to do it, and we'll just kind of... One of the weird things about this, they said, we won't touch your existing characters. We'll just leave them the same way they were in Melee. I'm like,
what?
If you put a new person in there, let them do their thing.
That's weird.
That was very weird. Like... But that's not what happened, of course. Sakurai agreed to do the game, and he did. And another thing he talked about was, hey, I don't see a way... He talked about the future now, going forward. I don't see a way to make a Smash Bros. Without me. And it wasn't necessarily an ego thing. It was more just like, hey, I didn't train anybody else, because...
Yeah.
Like, this guy, he doesn't have time. We've heard the stories about him fucking putting an IV in so that he never stops working and stuff. So, like, he's not been able to have a protege. That being said, I still think at some point, like, you gotta let somebody else put their spin on it.
There's no way Nintendo's gonna stop making Smash games.
Yeah,
personally,
and Sakurai said that.
Personally, I'm of the opinion that maybe they shouldn't make a fighting game again. I think they should try something else.
I can't agree with you on that. But dude, I feel about Smash the way you feel about like Baldur's Gate. Maybe I don't know. I fucking love it to death.
The problem I have with it is they did Smash Ultimate and it had everybody in it, and it's like, what do you do? Anything you do is gonna be lesser. Like, it's just the way it is. Well,
I'll tell you what you do, at least for the next one. The Super Switch, whatever we're calling. You just do Smash Bros. Ultimate Deluxe. Which I was surprised they didn't do for Ultimate, just port the Wii U game and add some stuff. But in this case, I really think you do. Because Smash Bros. Ultimate is pretty much... Of course, you're going to have people, and for good reason, who will always stand Smash Bros. Melee. But by and large, the Smash community agrees that Smash Bros. Ultimate's gameplay is fantastic. Yep. It's probably the best one, either that or Melee. We don't really want it touched that much. Like, it's fine. Leave it alone. Just port that over to the next Switch and maybe add some more characters. Sure. And you're good to go on that one. And then after that, I would hand it off to somebody else, and they can... What I would like to see happen is them start to not be afraid to revamp old movesets. Ganondorf should have... His moveset should be completely scrapped and start from scratch. Luigi should have a lot more Luigi's Mansion movesets. Mario should... At this point, you can get rid of Flood and start giving him some moves with Cappy and stuff. That's kind of where I'd like to see them go, is to really kind of rethink a bunch of the established characters. But I don't know. That's my my viewpoint on it.
Smash Brothers crossword Puyo Puyo.
Ooh, nice.
I want that. They should do that.
Yeah, but it was just, it's a weird video, and he sounds like he's not real enthused to do another one, but he always sounds like that, doesn't he? Like, he's threatened to retire a million times.
He wants to retire, and Nintendo won't let him. It sucks, but...
That's the other thing, though, is I'd like to see the hand somebody else for the good of the game, just to shake things up, but also for his sake. Like, just let the man... I want
Sakurai to be on a beach somewhere, just hanging out. That's all I care about.
Yeah, or working on smaller games that don't require... Like, he did Kid Icarus Uprising, and as far as I know, I haven't heard any stories of that game almost killing him.
Well, it did destroy people's wrists with its weird control setup. But...
That's true. Boy... there's been rumors about that coming to Switch for a long time. I hope it does happen, because I'd like to see it with good controls. Also, the Switch is Nintendo's first console ever to sell 1 billion pieces of software.
That's crazy.
It is. But though, there's been other consoles that have hit this, just not Nintendo's. And you think why is because they don't
everything's on it. That's part of it, probably.
Well, I mean, why past consoles haven't?
Oh, okay.
Because they don't get annual Call of Duties, they don't get annual sports games. Like, that's the biggest thing. And now, but to think, and Switch still doesn't, and to think that they've still hit 1 billion pieces of software without that, that's fucking nuts.
Well, what makes me think maybe that'll change, though, is that Bobby Kotick during the FCC trial was like, I regret not having a relationship with Nintendo. Like, I doubt he's the only one who feels that way.
Absolutely. I think, I didn't write it down for the news here, but we heard that, well, they announced officially that Jedi Survivor, they're backporting it to PS4 and Xbox One, which is weird. But then you think, okay, maybe that's because they're planning on putting it on the next Switch, and that might not be that far off from Xbox One and PS4. Maybe that's why this is happening.
Sure.
EA has not been a huge Switch supporter. They put Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborville on. And there's been a couple things here and there, but Apex Legends, although, didn't they close that? No.
I think so.
Yeah.
Sounds right. Overwatch, I think, is also dead on Switch.
Yeah.
Because there's no Overwatch 2 on Switch, right?
Yeah, no, there is. It's still there.
Okay.
I don't think many people are playing it there, but it's there.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I expect the next Switch will get some more stuff. I believe, actually, I could be talking out of my ass on this, but I think this most recent FIFA game, which I guess is the last FIFA game, is not the Legacy Edition thing that they've been doing. If people don't know, they've been putting FIFA out on Switch, but they call it like Legacy Edition. It's really kind of just roster updates, and I mean literally just roster updates. Not like sometimes we say that about sports games. Yeah, right. Or it is kind of, hey, we made this. It's a 4-year-old game, and we just updated the rosters. Now I think this most recent FIFA is finally EA's made it good.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So they're getting on board with Nintendo is kind of what I'm getting at. Oblivion, the Elder Scrolls, is that 4? Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion? No, 4 is Skyrim. So 3 Oblivion?
I think so.
Yeah.
Seems right. I've never really gone by the numbers.
Yeah, you don't see them use the numbers very often once, like, they're calling this next one 5 because they don't have a title yet, but when they
4.
do... Shit, is that right?
It's 4, yeah.
Wait, hang on. I'm sorry. This next one is 4, or
no? Oblivion is 4.
Okay. Oh yeah, so it's Elder Scrolls 6 coming. Okay, all right, whatever. Apparently, it's rumored to be getting a remake at Virtuos, which is the same team that's doing Metal Gear Delta. Now, it's not the exact same team, but it's within the same company. They have a couple different teams.
Yes.
I believe the rumor is that Metal Gear Delta is being done in China, and this team is in France, if I'm not mistaken.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah. Oblivion is, like, I know there's a lot of people that want Morrowind, but Morrowind is so old that it would take a lot more work. Oblivion is kind of in the sweet spot where it's old enough that people won't resent a remake like The Last of Us or something, but not so old that it requires, like, a top to bottom from the ground up.
And as an Elder Scrolls fan, Morrowind is not going to sell a lot of copies, guys.
Yeah, that's true also.
Yeah, I don't believe this is happening at all, but but if it is, I'm pretty excited.
It started. This was kind of a rumor that picked up steam for a few days. Like, I didn't believe it either at first. Now I think I do at this point, but it's still pretty loose talk, for sure. This isn't something to take to the bank yet, but I could see it. The next Elder Scrolls is still going to be a long ass time, right? Yep. And they. I'm sure Microsoft wants to capitalize on it before that. We've also heard, maybe Obsidian will be doing a Fallout something.
Please.
Because essentially, if they wait for Bethesda for both Elder Scrolls and Fallout, like, boy, you're going to be waiting a long ass time. So getting these other things out there. By the way, speaking of CRPGs that would be kind of neat, a Fallout one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, Evo happened. We got some news out of there. The most exciting thing to me, Killer Instinct is getting its first update in 5 years.
It's back, baby.
For the 10th anniversary of the game. And it is Iron Galaxy. We don't know a ton of specifics about it yet, but they're going to improve matchmaking. They're going to put an Xbox Series X version out.
Good.
And, and balance patches, right? This game's 10 years old. People fucking love this game. And they kind of thought it was done, and that the franchise might honestly be done. Not because it was unsuccessful, but because it's... The word going around is, for a long time, that Microsoft wants to do something with Killer Instinct, but there's just no good studio for it. Fighting game studios are a specialized thing, and Iron Galaxy was busy with Rumbleverse. Well, unfortunately, rip Rumbleverse.
Not anymore.
So now they are apparently freed up, and Killer Instinct's coming this fall. That's exciting. Yeah. What do you think this means about a sequel?
I'm not optimistic, to be honest with you. Like you said, it's hard to find a fighting game studio to do this. They're like, what? Realistically, who do they have that could do it?
Well, I think my prediction, or not even prediction. Well, I don't know. My reading the tea leaves is that I think Iron Galaxy's doing it. I think this is part of them. They've already agreed to do the sequel, and they're like, all right, well, we haven't been in Killer Instinct for 5 years now. We need to get our feet wet with it again, and this is how they're going to do that. And then they're going to do the sequel, is my guess.
Possibly. I don't know. I'm not going to be, like, optimistic about it because I don't want to, like, get my hopes up and be disappointed, but
well,
it could happen. I don't know.
I'm tattooing it on my neck. I'm locking it in.
I'm going to be neutral on this. I'm going to be like,
okay.
I don't know. I'm going to be agnostic.
I think the odds are looking pretty good, in my opinion. Boy, I would love it. Again, I'm sorry to be the acquisition guy, but, if they grabbed Iron Galaxy for both KI and the Xbox Smash Brothers that I desperately want, I'd be very happy.
Look at the success of Street Fighter. Like, they could do it.
Yeah, Street Fighter 5, since that went PlayStation exclusive, like, PlayStation locked down the entire fighting game scene based just on that. Because then,
pretty much,
after that, then Guilty Gear was PlayStation exclusive for a while. That eventually came to Xbox. And BlazBlue and, like, almost all the Arc System Works games and shit. Xbox, if they don't want that to happen again, they need their own fighting game, right? And that's KI.
I agree.
But yeah, if it's not Iron Galaxy, then they're back to that same problem that they've had for a long time that I don't know who it would be. But I think it's Iron Galaxy. I'm taking it to the bank. The Garo sequel got an official name, and it's Fatal Fury: City of the Wolves. So
badass. So fucking cool.
And they showed a little bit of in-game footage. It's very cel-shaded.
Yeah, it is. That's that good shit right there.
There was also, that trailer started with some, like, teases of other characters that are probably going to be in it. It does seem like kind of just from people who, I don't know, the fan base watching this and guessing who the characters are, it does seem more of a Fatal Fury roster than a Garo roster. But that, like, and it should mesh them both, right? Because they were always in the same universe. Yeah, it's very exciting. SNK makes good stuff. Obviously, I don't feel good about buying SNK games since they got bought by the Saudi Arabian royal family. It doesn't feel great, but
nope.
They King of Fighters 15. It was a good ass game.
But we all love Terry Bogard so much we're gonna buy it anyways.
I do love Terry Bogard.
Yeah, you look at him, you're like, I can't be mad at you.
I know. He's my Smash Brothers main.
The best. We love him.
Street Fighter 6, or I almost said 16. Street Fighter 6 reveal. So they've been doing actually a Ninja Turtles crossover with comic books recently.
Yep.
Now Ninja Turtles skins are coming to the game. However, they're not for the main characters. You can't dress Ryu as a Ninja Turtle. Like, they're for the Avatar characters.
Okay, all right.
And they're $15 a pop. If you
what?
Yeah. If you want all 4 turtles, it's $60 for the avatars. Like,
why would they do this?
I mean, I understand that licensing the turtles has got to be more expensive than other skins, but goddamn, you could buy Injustice 2 $10 for the turtle to play as the turtles.
I'm pretty sure you can get all the characters for under 30, to be honest, in Injustice 2.
Yeah.
So, like, what the hell?
It's insane. Yeah. There's just no other way to describe it. It is a bad call.
What the hell?
Hopefully they go on sale, but people are not too pleased about that, and nor should they be.
I would, yeah, I understand completely.
There is a bunch of other announcements at EVO about different characters to, you know, I don't remember, Guilty Gear, a bunch of shit. But MK1 had an amazing trailer that showed Reptile, Havoc, and Ashra, as well as Serena as a cameo fighter. So Reptile there's always been a debate about if you like human reptile or lizard reptile in the community. And now they, because, you know, people, since MK1 is resetting the timeline and everything, they merged them both, essentially. And he's a lizard, really, is his true form. But he's learned to disguise himself as a human, right? And so now you're playing as human reptile most of the time, but for some special moves and everything, he transforms into the lizard. It looks like the lizard from the Amazing Spider-Man 1.
It's also more in line with the Mortal Kombat movie.
Which movie?
The recent one, the bad one.
Oh God, I don't remember Reptile even in that game or movie, because fuck that movie. He does this fucking like dive where he turns into a lizard, dives, grabs you by the ankle, and does a gator roll. I love that.
That's pretty cool. I do like that. That's pretty dope.
Havoc has some shit where he rips off his arm and beats you with it, which I think he did previously, but it's neat to see these Havoc and Ashra from the 3D era. And there's a couple other characters from 3D era too in this game that are
Moloch? Bring back Moloch?
I wouldn't be shocked if he's a cameo at some point.
They should do it.
Serena as a cameo, she's always been a demon, but you never saw it. Like, that was always part of her bio and everything. Now you see her in demon form for most of her attacks, which I didn't even recognize her at first. I had to find out later that, oh, that's who that was? I just thought it was some crazy devil lady running up on screen. Also, the big thing about this is that kind of in the beta and just previously when it was playable at Summer Game Fest and everything, people complained about the speed of the game and the movements of the game, the dashes and things like that. Apparently, this build at EVO was much, much better. People like Sonic Fox were saying, hey, this feels great now. We're very, very happy. So, that's good. Destiny. We got good Destiny and bad Destiny. Good Destiny is that Keith David is going to be taking over the role of Zavala. You know, we lost Lance Hendrickson. Lance
Reddick.
Lance Reddick. Damn it, sorry. Lance Reddick, you're correct. We lost him earlier this year. And people didn't know exactly what was going to happen with the character Zavala, especially because we are going into the end game of at least this saga of Destiny. It's ending in March with the final shape. And Zavala's extremely important, arguably the main character of Destiny. And Keith David is, if you're going to continue the character, Keith David's probably the right choice to do it.
That's Captain Anderson right there. You gotta. The Arbiter.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's the Arbiter, it's Captain Anderson. You know, it's what's the Roddy Piper movie?
They Live.
They Live, yeah. So and he does have a very distinctive voice, just like Lance Reddick did. That's all great. But we've talked before about how Destiny feels like it's in a rut overall. I'm not playing it at the moment, and I fucking love that game. But it just there's a lot of problems that have added up. There's not really any one big thing, but it's just a bunch of small things, and it's just all feeling kind of stale. Well, they did their State of the Game address. They do this every year, and usually it's a feel-good moment. And they tell you, hey, what are they working on? What do they think about things they've done over the last year? Did they work? Did they not work? And they're usually pretty candid about it and saying, here's what we're going to do in the future. This year's did not feel good. This year's felt empty. It felt like them giving up on a lot of things, especially like, I don't care about the PvP of the game. I wish they'd take it out, but right now, people are very pissed off about the PvP in the game, and this State of the Game basically said, yeah, we're not going to do much about that. And it's like, well, fuck, okay. Gambit mode has basically been completely abandoned. And so everybody got real mad. And the Destiny community is always mad to some extent, but this honestly feels justifiably mad. Yeah, I worry that Bungie's being spread too thin. They got Destiny, they got Marathon, they have another game apparently called codenamed Matter, which hasn't been officially revealed yet. Like, seems like they're trying to do. Plus, you know, we've heard about them helping out on these other Sony Live Service stuff, like, you know, Last of Us Factions and everything. For as big as they are, and they're a huge studio, they might be taking on too much, and I think it's hurting Destiny right now, real bad.
Yep. It's a classic MMO struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Not looking good.
No, it's not. And I do kind of hope they reevaluate things after the final shape. I know they've said they don't necessarily want to do a Destiny 3, but I think they gotta. After the final shape, you know, it's time for a fresh start. And to pare down the game to what they do well and freshen things up. Also, just like there are some things that Destiny does great, but but you've done them great now for almost 10 years. Like, even if, I don't know, some things maybe just change up for the sake of making it feel different, because it's tough to feel fresh content in Destiny at the moment.
It is. It's very tough.
Avowed from Obsidian was originally pitched as a co-op game, and now it's not going to be co-op anymore. It's single player only, and you can probably guess how I feel about this.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think Redfall, a lot of that is like, maybe they shouldn't have tried to make a 4-player co-op game with no experience doing that.
Yeah, but I kind of feel like Redfall's biggest problem was the open world. I don't know.
I think it's a lot of things, to be honest with you.
Sure, yeah, you're right. It's not any one thing, but
yeah,
I mean, Redfall's a different kind of game anyway. Yeah. But like I had mentioned earlier when we were talking about Baldur's Gate, I do think that the whole RPG genre comes from tabletop games, and that's best experienced with other people. Now, we don't know exactly what form this was going to take. If it was going to be a live service thing, then yeah, no, I don't really want that out of an Obsidian RPG. But yeah, we know this is companion based, right? We've already introduced your first companion, Kai, and there's more to come. Like, so we know that they've kind of designed it to have multiple protagonists. Like, if those were just subbed by other people, boy, that would feel really fucking good to me. That would make me much more excited about the game than I am at the moment. I also, by the way, speaking of Redfall, I have a pitch for Dishonored 2.
It's where you have to assassinate Redfall. There's a copy of Redfall.
No, it's a 2-player one where you have Emily and Corvo at the same time.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, and almost like an It Takes Two style thing. Not an open world, you have more design levels, but and then if you are playing alone, you could almost like GTA 5, you could hit down on the D-pad to switch back and forth, and you could give orders to the AI character. But whatever, that's a whole nother thing. And I actually might do a video about that at some point. I don't know. I still wish it was co-op, but what are you gonna do? I know most people are happy about this. I'm just a weirdo on this kind of stuff. I really like, I have mentioned before, I really like when genres that, like, okay, look, I love Halo and I love Borderlands, but like, I don't want all my co-op games just to be shooters thing. I like weird genres to do it.
I agree with that, that aspect, but yes.
Okay. Red Dead Redemption port, and yes, just a port, is coming to PS4 and Switch, and people are big mad about this too.
This is so stupid. Honestly.
Justifiably so. So first thing, this has been rumored for a long time, and not even more than just rumored. It was leaked, honestly. It was we knew there was no uncertainty like about the Oblivion remake. We knew this was happening because it was all on Rockstar's fucking back end of their website. We thought it might be, if not a remake, at least a remaster. We thought maybe it would be in the Red Dead 2 engine, and nope. None of that shit's happening. This is just essentially if you play this on an Xbox One X or a Series X, they upscale it to 4K, and they make it look really, really, really nice, but it's still the same game, and it's still 30 frames a second. And they're essentially now just putting that version on PlayStation and Switch. And that's kind of it. And cutting the multiplayer also. But they're still charging $50. Which, you know, I think you can get it now on Xbox for $20. And you still get the multiplayer. And also there's no PC version. That's another thing. So this is all just a fucking weird mess, right?
What a disaster all around. This is such a bad idea. Coming off of the remaster GTA that they just did.
Yep.
Like, really bad. I don't know what anybody at this company is thinking.
This does seem better than the GTA situation, because that was like Android versions that got moved over.
So weird. But, I don't understand.
Yeah. But it's still not enough. Certainly not for $50. I would not encourage anyone to buy this until it goes on sale, or ever. Or just get on Xbox.
Yeah.
I imagine they will do a PC version down the road, but it's so bizarre. I guess it's just, hey, GTA 6 is taking a long-ass time. We got to get something out there to make some more money. And you know what's sad is this probably will make much money. I'm sure it'll do fine, and that's like kind of a bummer. But if you want some good Rockstar news, they have hired community members that are in charge of their biggest roleplay community. Like, if people don't know, within GTA Online, and even a little bit within Red Dead 2 Online, but I think it's more a big GTA thing, there's communities of people that do full roleplay in that game. And they, like, we're the fucking motorcycle gang, and they don't break character at all, even, like, in voice chat and everything. Well, now the biggest community that do that, Rockstar has hired the people behind that, so I guess they're going to start actually incorporating that stuff in a more official way. And that's neat, right?
Sure, yeah. I mean, hey, I'm all for hiring these people. Like, they, I think Avalanche hired the guys who made the multiplayer mod for Just Cause.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So, yeah, I'm all for that. That's pretty cool. Feel good story.
Maybe that's what is leading to Contraband.
Maybe.
Although, fucking where is Contraband? Oh, man. Maybe that's something that could be at the Game Awards. That'd be cool.
Sure.
Telltale Games has been acquired by Flavorworks. I don't know who the hell Flavorworks is.
I've never heard of this company.
No, me neither. And even the story, I was trying to figure something out, but it didn't tell me a whole lot. But, you know, Telltale's been... that's a studio that closed at one point. And actually, even this new version, like, I don't even know if you can call them the same Telltale, but there is a company that is still maybe the zombie husk of Telltale, and now at least they're more safe. Flavorworks is more of a mobile studio, by the way. It does turn out a mobile company, I should say. But you know, hey, it's good to have some security there, because they are they've been dicey. They have a dicey past. Overwatch 2, speaking of, was released on Steam. There's a problem with that. And that's when you release on Steam, you're subject to user reviews, you know. Yep. And I know they've been on consoles and like the Xbox Store's user reviews, but honestly, nobody pays attention to that shit.
Those are all trash too.
Yeah. But the Steam user reviews are important. Well, they immediately had 25,000 of them. God. And 14% were positive. Oh. All the rest were negative. I think it's the lowest user reviewed game of the year.
That is nuts.
Mostly coming down to monetization, which has somehow gotten worse from since the loot box days. Honestly, Overwatch loot boxes were not bad.
No, I'd take loot boxes over what we have now.
Yes.
Any day.
And coming down to them cutting the large majority of their PvE stuff, which I'm still... Honestly, it's like... the Overwatch 2 Hero Missions? Yeah, Hero Missions getting canceled, and like Anthem 2.0 not happening are like the biggest fucking personal heartbreakers to me. I'm still crushed by that. I hope somehow Microsoft's able to salvage that, but probably not. So yeah, like Overwatch 2 getting trashed. That's not good, right?
No.
Is there anything to feel good about with Overwatch right now?
No, I can't think of one single thing, honestly.
Mm-hmm. They did John Cena commercials. That's cool.
They did. That's pretty dope. They have John Cena. Yeah.
I don't even think he's in the game, but
they should put him in the game as John Cena, not the Enigma or whatever it is.
You know, Enigma was my backyard wrestling name.
Oh my god.
That's a little bit of Eric lore for you.
It goes full circle.
My finishing move was the Paradox.
Oh.
Yes.
Bro.
I don't know why I'm telling people this.
Bring it back. Bring it back.
Yeah, they did release their beginning of their campaign missions. I don't even know if they're good or not. It was a couple days ago, and I haven't heard any. The fact that I haven't heard any response about it is probably not. It's probably worse than if people would have come out and say, "Hey, they really suck." I haven't heard one way or the other, and you got to pay for those too, of course. Man, it's such a goddamn shame. Overwatch is on my top 10 games of all time, but fuck, man, it's one of the biggest blunders that I could think of in gaming, like maybe ever. This thing was game of the year when it came out. This thing was a powerhouse.
It was, and now look at it.
Fuck, makes me mad. Teenage Mutant Ninja. Oh, we're talking a lot about the Ninja Turtles this week.
Yeah.
The Last Ronin game, which we started hearing some buzz about that maybe about 2 months ago. It's official now. It was at the THQ showcase by Black Forest Games, which I meant to write down what they had done in the past, and I forgot to.
Humans.
Yeah, well, yeah, they did those remakes. I think that they also did the first Titan Quest.
They did, yes.
Yeah. So, you know, maybe not AAA, although maybe this is them trying to grow into AAA. Because,
well, most importantly, we're skipping over an important game that they released.
What's that?
Bubsy the Woolly Strike Back.
Oh boy, I'm sorry I missed that one.
Yeah.
I imagine, so this is still years off, and I imagine the reason they announced it is to try to hire up, and maybe maybe this is them trying to step up and be a AAA studio.
Let's go.
Yeah, I'm all for it. This is supposedly inspired a lot by God of War, which, you know, I didn't like Ragnarok so much, but I loved the one before that.
I mean, it's Ninja Turtles, so it's got to be good.
Yeah, well, it's got to be good. And also, maybe I talk more negatively about Ragnarok than I should. I don't hate that game. It annoyed me. Yeah, it's a good game that annoys me. Yes. Maybe because, like, parts of it are so good that the flaws really irritate me, is maybe the biggest way to put it. Yeah, but anyway, like, this is a great idea. If people don't know about The Last Ronin, there's a major part that I won't spoil, but essentially it's kind of in a future where 3 of the 4 turtles are dead. There's only 1 left. You don't know which one it is until it's early in the book. It's about a quarter of the way through the book they tell you who it is. But still, I won't spoil it here. But I kind of imagine the game, like, I don't know how that would work in the game exactly if they try to keep it a mystery. Maybe they just tell you. I don't know. But and then there's some flashbacks to kind of reveal what happened to the other turtles and everything, their ultimate demises. And
he also uses all their weapons, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. He uses all 4 turtle weapons, which I imagine will be part of your skill tree in this game, right? Like, you can choose to go down the bow staff skill tree, or the nunchuck skill tree, or the sai skill tree, etc., etc. It's like Old Man Logan in some ways.
It's really cool.
Yeah,
it's going to be a game, and it's probably going to be good. Hopefully, we'll see.
It has the potential to be good. On paper, it's a great idea, and it's very exciting. And I believe that's all she wrote. Right? Anything else you want to talk about?
No, not really. I can't think of anything.
Good, because I want to stop and play Baldur's Gate. God damn it! I'm jonesing. So, you are... Tell me about Comic Club, or...
Comic Club is definitely coming back. I talked to Frank last week. It's definitely coming back. We're just so busy. I'm so busy with work and just personal stuff. And Frank is in the middle of, like, some personal stuff, too. But we're coming back. The podcast, when it comes back, will be a little different, for sure. But, yeah, it's going to be great. And Fan Zone, we're still kicking around, still doing what we do.
Nice.
Listen to that whenever it comes out.
You had talked about streaming soon as well.
Yeah, so once my computer's done, I'm going to be streaming a whole lot.
Excellent. Well, we will look forward to that. I will, if you remind me, especially, I will, on the Crossover Attack Twitter, I will, retweet whatever you're streaming, whatever.
Hell
you know
yeah.
what I'm saying. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I have, I'm on YouTube, youtube.com/FreshleyStreamGames, Freshly with Ley at the end. It's on screen right now if you're watching this, whatever. You'll figure it out. You're smart people. I am in the middle of Baldur's Gate 3. When the Remnant patch comes out, maybe at some point I'll stream more of that. I don't want to get back to Pikmin. Lots of stuff, but probably Baldur's Gate for quite a while. And there is Gamescom coming soon, right?
That's like next week, or no, it's pretty close, right?
The 22nd.
So
9 days.
9 days, yeah.
Yeah. I will definitely stream a reaction to that. Also, the same day as the Destiny Showcase. Boy, Destiny Showcase has got a lot of pressure on it now. Like, you gotta get it right. Bomber Cyberpunk's out on the 18th. Holy shit. Yeah, so, check out my YouTube channel. And we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.